I never thought I'd be the type of person to post about my engagement on social media before telling my parents. The ring was beautiful, a princess-cut diamond that caught the light perfectly as I held up my hand to take the photo. Mark had proposed just an hour ago, and I was still floating on cloud nine. "You're sure you don't want to call your mom first?" Mark asked, watching me adjust filters on my Instagram post. "Trust me, it won't make a difference," I said, hitting post with a slight smile. "Remember last Christmas when I told them I got that big promotion at work?" Mom just nodded and immediately started talking about how Jessica had just bought a new house with her successful lawyer husband. Mark wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. "Maybe things will be different now. People change, Ruby." I wanted to believe him, but 27 years of being the family disappointment had taught me otherwise. The memories were endless. My 6th grade piano recital where my parents left halfway through my performance to attend Jessica's cheerleading competition, my high school graduation where they spent the entire ceremony talking about Jessica's college acceptance letters, even my college graduation, where they spent more time bragging about Jessica's engagement than acknowledging my magna cum laude honors. "Jessica this, Jessica that," I mumbled, leaning back into Mark's embrace. "You know, when I got into NYU for my master's degree, Mom's first response was, 'Oh, that's nice dear, but did you hear Jessica is expecting?'" The phone rang barely 2 hours after my post went live. I looked at the caller ID and showed it to Mark with a knowing smirk. "Here we go." Ruby Marie Thompson, my mother's voice was shrill through the speaker. "How dare you announce your engagement on social media before telling your own mother?" I had to find out from Aunt Carol, who saw it on Facebook. "What kind of daughter does that?" I bit back the response I'd been holding in for years, that maybe if they'd shown any interest in my life before, they'd be the first to know about important moments like this. Instead, I kept my voice neutral. "Hi Mom, I was going to call you tonight." "Never mind that now," she cut me off, her tone shifting from angry to excited so quickly it gave me whiplash. "We simply must have the engagement party at our house. We'll invite all the family, the Petersons, the Hendersons, oh, and the Clarks just got back from Europe." I caught Mark's eye and mouthed "help me" as my mother rattled off what sounded like half the state's population. "Actually, Mom, Mark and I were thinking of having a small celebration at—" "Nonsense," my father's voice suddenly boomed through the phone. Apparently, I was on speaker. "This is not up for discussion, Ruby. We're hosting the engagement party, and we'll cover all the costs. It's what proper parents do." I felt my eyebrows shoot up at that last part. Proper parents? Since when? But before I could voice any objection, my mother was already talking about caterers and flower arrangements, and somehow I found myself agreeing just to end the conversation. After I hung up, Mark pulled me close. "See? They want to be involved. That's good, right?" I nodded slowly, trying to ignore the knot of unease in my stomach. "Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they're finally seeing me as more than just Jessica's little sister." The few days after my parents' phone call were surprisingly peaceful. Mark kept saying "I told you so" with that adorable grin of his, and I was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, things were changing. Then my phone started blowing up with Facebook notifications. "Ruby, you need to see this," my friend Katie texted, followed by several screenshots of my mother's latest Facebook post. I opened Facebook and there it was, complete with flower emojis and hearts. As a mother, nothing brings me more joy than announcing that I will be hosting my youngest daughter Ruby's engagement celebration at our family home. Planning this special day is not just my duty as a mother, but a labor of love. Every detail will be perfect, from the hand-picked flowers to the gourmet catering, because that's what a devoted mother does for her child. I nearly choked on my coffee. The comments were even worse. "Diana, you're such an amazing mother. Ruby is so lucky to have you. This is what true motherly love looks like. You've always been the most dedicated mother I know." And my mother was eating it up, responding to every comment with fake humility. "Oh, you're too kind, just doing what any good mother would do. Being a mother is my greatest blessing." Can you believe this? I showed my phone to Mark, who was making breakfast. Well, at least she's excited about it, he offered, sliding a plate of pancakes my way. Excited about the attention, you mean, I corrected him. This isn't about me or our engagement. It's about her showing off what a perfect mother she is. As if to prove my point, my mother's next comment popped up, and of course, my eldest daughter Jessica will be there. She's such a model of what a married woman should be, truly a beacon of virtue and family values. I rolled my eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. Of course, I muttered. Heaven forbid she post anything about me without bringing up Saint Jessica. Mark read over my shoulder and squeezed my hand. Hey, look at the bright side. While she's busy playing Mother of the Year on Facebook, we can focus on planning our actual wedding. He was right. Our wedding was set for 8 months from now, and my mother would be occupied with the engagement party happening in 2 months. Maybe this wasn't such a bad arrangement after all. She could have her social media moment, and I could plan my wedding in peace. My phone rang at least 3 times a day, with updates from Mom about the engagement party preparations. As much as I hate to admit it, she was really good at this stuff. Every detail was meticulously planned, from the hand-calligraphed invitations to the custom cocktail menu. I actually found myself looking forward to seeing how it would all come together. Your mom called again, Mark said one evening as I got home from work. She wants to know if we prefer the string quartet to play classical or contemporary pieces. I flopped onto our couch, kicking off my heels. At this point, she can have them play the Pokemon theme song for all I care. At least I don't have to deal with any of it. Speaking of planning, Mark's sister Emma chimed in from where she was sprawled in our armchair with her laptop. I found 3 more bridal boutiques for us to check out this weekend. Emma had become my wedding planning savior. She had organized countless corporate events and charity galas. While Mom was consumed with the engagement party, Emma and I had been tackling wedding details together. She had better taste than I did and wasn't afraid to be honest when something looked terrible on me. The wedding plans were coming along nicely. Mark's parents, Tom and Linda, were incredibly helpful without being overbearing. They'd come over every Sunday to discuss venues and catering options, always bringing dinner so we could focus on planning. It was refreshing how normal and drama-free everything felt with Mark's family. Even more surprising was how things seemed to be improving with my own family. Every Saturday, I'd go to my parents' house for dinner, sometimes alone, sometimes with Mark, and for the first time in my life, they actually seemed interested in me. "How's that new project at work going?" Dad would ask, actually waiting for my answer instead of immediately turning the conversation to Jessica. "Tell us more about how you and Mark met," Mom would say, genuinely listening to the story. It was weird. Nice, but weird. Like entering a parallel universe where I wasn't just Jessica's little sister, but my own person worthy of attention. The days flew by, and suddenly we were just 2 weeks away from the engagement party. I was at my desk, reviewing quarterly reports, when my phone buzzed. Mom's name flashed on the screen. "Ruby, you need to come to the house right now," she demanded, her voice tense. "It's urgent." I spent the rest of the workday distracted, wondering what could be so urgent about an engagement party that was already practically planned down to the last detail. As soon as 5 o'clock hit, I grabbed my things and headed to my parents' house. The moment I walked through the front door, I knew something was off. The sound of children's laughter echoed through the house, specifically, the sound of my nephew Tyler and niece Emma, ages 6 and 3. As I rounded the corner to the living room, I saw them running circles around the coffee table while their mother, my perfect sister Jessica, sat on the couch. Something felt off. Jessica lived 3 states away and rarely visited outside of major holidays. The last time she'd shown up unannounced was, well, never. As I moved closer to the group, I noticed Jessica's makeup was smeared, her eyes red and puffy. Mom and Dad sat on either side of her, looking like someone had died. The knot in my stomach tightened. "What's going on?" I asked, setting my purse down. "Jessica, is everything okay?" She let out a choked sob, and Mom wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Dad stared at the floor like it held the secrets of the universe. I left him, Jessica finally managed between sniffs, we're getting divorced. I nearly fell into the nearest chair. Jessica and Tom, getting divorced? The same Jessica who posted weekly blissfully married updates on Instagram? The same couple my mother had been shoving in my face as the epitome of marital perfection for the past 7 years? But, what happened? I asked carefully. I thought everything was great between you two. Jessica's head snapped up, her eyes flashing with anger. It's none of your business, Ruby. God, you always have to stick your nose where it doesn't belong. I raised my hands in surrender, but before I could apologize, Jessica deflated like a punctured balloon. He cheated on me, she whispered, dabbing at her eyes with a crumpled tissue, multiple times. I found messages on his phone, pictures. I couldn't take it anymore. So I packed up the kids and left. Mom made a sympathetic noise and stroked Jessica's hair, while Dad continued his intense study of the carpet. I sat there, processing. Just last month, Mom had been telling everyone at Cousin Sarah's baby shower how Jessica and Tom were relationship goals and how every young couple should look to them as an example. I'm so sorry, Jess, I said, and I meant it. Despite our issues, she was still my sister, and this obviously wasn't easy for her. I thought that was it, the big urgent news Mom had called me over for. I was already mentally composing a text to Mark about postponing our dinner plans when Mom cleared her throat. There's something else, Ruby, she said, her voice taking on that tone she used when she was about to say something she knew I wouldn't like. Your father and I have been talking, and, well, given the circumstances, we think it's best if we cancel the engagement party. With everything Jessica's going through. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. The room started spinning, but I forced myself to stay focused. Mom, you can't be serious. Everyone's already been invited. Aunt Sarah and Uncle Mike are flying in from California. The Hendersons are driving up from Florida. Grandma Helen already booked her hotel room. That's when Jessica exploded. She jumped up from the couch, mascara streaking down her face, pointing her finger at me like a weapon. God, you're so selfish, Ruby, she screamed, making her children stop their playing and stare. My whole life is falling apart. Do you have any idea what it's like to find out your husband's been sleeping with other women? To have to explain to your kids why Daddy isn't coming home? And all you can think about is your stupid party. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Jess, I'm truly sorry about what happened with Tom, really, I am. But my engagement has nothing to do with your divorce. These are completely separate events. Nothing to do with it, Jessica's voice went up another octave. I'm your sister. You're supposed to support me. You should have offered to cancel the engagement yourself the moment you heard about my situation. But no, you're too self-centered to even consider my feelings. I turned to my parents, hoping for some semblance of rationality. Mom, Dad, please, this is crazy. You can't just cancel everything because Jessica's upset. Mom straightened her spine, putting on what I called her principal face, the one that meant her decision was final. Actually, I can, I've already done it. I called the caterer this morning to cancel. The decorations order has been canceled too. And I've started calling the guests to let them know the engagement is canceled due to an important family matter. The room went silent except for the sound of Tyler and Emma whispering to each other in the corner. You did what? I could hear my voice rising, but couldn't control it anymore. It's my engagement. You had no right to do this. Don't you dare raise your voice at your mother, Dad finally found his full voice. After everything we've done for you. Done for me? I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. You mean like how you've spent my entire life making me feel second best to Jessica? And now you're literally canceling my engagement party because she's having a hard time? How dare you, Jessica shrieked. I knew you were jealous of me, but this is a new low. You know what? I grabbed my purse, my whole body shaking with rage. You've set me up. This whole thing, the party planning, the sudden interest in my life, it was all just another way to prove that Jessica comes first. Well, congratulations. Message received, loud and clear. I stormed out of the house, ignoring their calls for me to come back. The drive home was a blur. When I finally made it back to my apartment, Mark was waiting with a concerned look on his face. Ruby, what's wrong? You weren't answering your phone. I collapsed onto our couch and told him everything. Before we could even begin to process it all, my phone started blowing up with messages and calls from relatives. Ruby, sweetie, are you okay? We heard about the breakup. We're so sorry. If you need someone to talk to. I sat there, staring at my phone in confusion, until Aunt Carol's message made everything click. Your mother told us about the engagement being called off. I know it must be hard watching Jessica go through her divorce while planning your own wedding. Maybe it's for the best to take a break. That's when I understood. Mom hadn't just canceled my engagement party, she'd spun the story to make it look like I was the one having relationship problems. She'd protected herself and Jessica by making me the villain of the story. I was still staring at my phone in disbelief when Mark gently took it from my hands and set it on the coffee table. Hey, he said, pulling me close, remember what we originally wanted to do before your mom hijacked everything? A small, intimate celebration with the people who actually care about us. He grabbed his own phone and started scrolling through his contacts. And I happen to have a sister who's basically a professional event planner. Mark was already dialing. We've got a situation. Look, can you help us put together a restaurant party for the original engagement date? 2 weeks from now? I could hear Emma's enthusiastic voice through the phone. Are you kidding? I've been wanting to rescue this party from Mother Dearest since day one. Give me an hour, I'll call in some favors. For the first time since leaving my parents' house, I felt myself smile. While Emma worked her magic, I opened my laptop and started drafting a social media post. Dear friends and family, I want to clear up some confusion. Mark and I are still very much engaged and happy together. Our engagement celebration will still take place on the originally planned date, but we've decided to move it to a restaurant setting for a more intimate gathering. To those who've already made travel arrangements, we would still love to celebrate with you. Please let me know if you'll be able to attend the revised celebration. With love, Ruby. The responses started coming in immediately. Some said they would definitely come. But others have already canceled their tickets or planned something else. I grabbed a notepad and started counting confirmed guests. My side of the family had shrunk considerably. Apparently, Mom's phone calls had done their damage, but Mark's family was coming in full force. His parents, Emma, his aunts and uncles, cousins. 30 people. I called Emma back. Hey, we need space for 30 people. Already on it, she replied, and I could hear her typing. I've got 3 restaurants on hold. How do you feel about that Italian place where Mark took you for your first date? I felt tears welling up again, but this time they were happy tears. This was more like what I'd wanted all along, something meaningful and personal, not my mother's social spectacle. My phone rang the next morning while I was getting ready for work. I saw Tom's name flash across the screen, my sister's husband, or ex-husband now. We'd always gotten along well, often texting about the kids or family gatherings, though we hadn't spoken since Jessica dropped her divorce bombshell. Ruby, it's Tom, I heard about your engagement party. I wanted to congratulate you and Mark. I know I won't be able to make it to the restaurant celebration, but I wanted to wish you guys all the best in advance. Before I could stop myself, the words tumbled out. How could you do it, Tom? How could you cheat on my sister? The silence on the other end was deafening. Then Tom let out a strange sound, something between a laugh and a sob. Is that what she told you? His voice was quiet. Ruby, I never cheated on your sister. Not once. Jessica was the one who had affairs, multiple affairs. I have proof, messages, hotel receipts, everything. Her latest boyfriend even sent me pictures of them together, thinking I already knew about their relationship. The room started spinning. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Tom, would you be willing to tell me everything? And, would it be okay if I recorded our conversation? Actually, I'd prefer that you did. I'm tired of being the bad guy in her story. I quickly set up the voice recorder on my phone. For the next hour, Tom laid out the whole ugly truth: Jessica's string of affairs, her gaslighting, her manipulation of everyone around her. He had dates, names, evidence, everything. The days flew by, and suddenly it was the evening of our engagement party. The restaurant looked beautiful. Emma had outdone herself with the decorations. 30 of our closest friends and family members filled the private dining room with warmth and laughter. For a while, everything felt perfect. Then my Aunt Carol pulled me aside during the appetizers. "Ruby, honey, I need to tell you something," she said, clutching her wine glass. "Your mother called me yesterday. She was saying awful things about you. Called you an egoist and a terrible daughter and sister for going ahead with this party." My stomach dropped, but before I could respond, other relatives started chiming in. "She called me too," Uncle Mike said, shaking his head. "Told me not to come because it would hurt Jessica's feelings." Cousin Rachel joined in. "She's been calling everyone, Ruby. Saying we shouldn't support your selfish behavior because Jessica is suffering from her divorce and her husband's infidelity. She said having this party is like twisting the knife in Jessica's back." Looking around at the confused and hurt faces of my relatives, I knew it was time. The lies had gone on long enough. "Everyone, could I have your attention for a moment?" I stood up, phone in hand. "There's something you all need to hear." The room fell silent as I pressed play on the recording. Tom's voice filled the private dining room, clear and steady, as he detailed Jessica's affairs, the evidence he had collected, and how she had turned everything around to make him look like the villain. He explained how she had manipulated everyone, including their children, to maintain her image as the wronged wife. For the next 15 minutes, you could have heard a pin drop. Aunt Carol's wine glass stayed frozen halfway to her mouth. Uncle Mike's fork clattered onto his plate. Cousin Rachel covered her mouth with her hand. "And my parents," I said after the recording ended. "They knew everything. They knew the truth about Jessica, but they were still willing to destroy my engagement party to protect her lies. They chose to hurt me, again, just to keep up appearances for their precious firstborn." The silence that followed was deafening. Then Aunt Carol stood up and wrapped me in a tight hug. Others followed, offering apologies and support. Even those who had initially sided with my mother were now shaking their heads in disbelief. "Let's focus on what really matters today," Mark announced, raising his glass. "We're here to celebrate our engagement and our future together." The party continued, warmer and more genuine than before. The truth had cleared the air, and for the first time I felt truly seen by my extended family. The next morning, my phone rang at 7 a.m. My parents. "How dare you?" Mom's voice was shrill through the speaker. "How dare you humiliate your sister like that? Airing our family's dirty laundry in public." "I didn't air anything," I replied calmly, "I just revealed the truth you've been trying to hide." What followed was a tirade from my mother that would have made any sailor or janitor blush. She finally hung up after calling me every horrible name she could think of. Minutes later, my phone started buzzing with messages from Jessica. Each text was worse than the last, calling me a traitor, a horrible sister, accusing me of being jealous of her my entire life. She even claimed I had orchestrated everything with Tom to ruin her life. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I blocked both my sister's and my parents' numbers. Mark found me later that morning, staring at our wedding planning notebook. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside me. "Actually, yes," I replied, surprised to find I meant it. "I just made some changes to our guest list. It's smaller now, but better." Looking back now, I don't regret exposing the truth. I don't regret cutting ties with my parents and Jessica. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you deserve. But that's okay. Mark, Emma, and their parents have shown me what real family love looks like. In 6 months, I'll officially become part of their family, and I couldn't be happier about it.